could do like just a quick bridge loan so I can get a couple extra months to figure out, my credit situation. And we were like, yeah, we can get this done. Um, Basically, they got everything in. So that was Wednesday night. Thursday, they had everything over to us that we needed. We had docs out on Friday, and then I think
Wow.
the actual signing was on Monday, and then
Wow.
we actually ended up closing and wiring on Tuesday the next week.
Nice.
There were some weird delays with escrow.
So they already owned the property, or they were trying
No,
to get it closed
they're,
initially and they,
yeah, they were looking to purchase it. Like, it's going to be a rent. It's a rental property, and they were just like, so it's, I mean, I guess they just wanted like a few, like an extra 6 to 12 months to raise up their credit score, so
yeah.
that they could get an actual conventional loan on this one. So we just wrote them like a quick bridge loan, because they had the appraisal already done, and because they're a repeat borrower for us. Like, we were able to get them pretty darn good terms too.
Sweet. So why didn't the other commercial team want to lend to them? Because it was a residential play?
I
I mean, why didn't the other?
I'm not sure because they have a solid credit score. Like, it's not great. It's like 700, but that should be very lendable from a conventional perspective. There
Yeah.
was no like major derogatories. They have the cash to do it.
Huh.
They have a long history of being landlords. So it's not like, it's only 2 years. If they have way more than 2 years of, what's it called?
Management history?
Yeah, of history. So like, I was just like, I'm not sure why your conventional lender won't do the loan, but I mean, we got you all day. Like, we looked at the appraisal. There's nothing weird.
Yeah,
Like,
Meridian's awesome.
yeah, I didn't understand why the conventional lender wouldn't do it, but it's like, okay, yeah, we'll come in, we'll get this done.
Good stuff. How about you, Darren? You have a good week? Did you get your concrete deal off your table, off your desk at all, or what's
No,
up?
it's still there.
What is it that you think, what do you think is why people aren't interested out there in that? Is it so far,
I don't know.
or have you just not gotten the word out maybe appropriately?
Well, basically what I've done is I screen scraped about almost 400 people who had, or emails that had indicated that they were interested in investment properties off of like Wari and Sick and those Facebook pages. And
Yep,
then I emailed it out to everybody. I think you got a copy of that.
I'm sure I did. I get a lot of
Yeah,
those things. I mean,
yeah.
it's crazy. I don't even
I
look
got
up.
like a dozen responses, people saying, give me more information and stuff. And then I, of course, posted on Wari and I posted on Sick and I put it for sale by owner on Zillow.
Yeah,
And the one guy that I've got to come out to look at it so far saw it on Zillow. So,
okay.
yeah,
Say.
he seems interested. I don't know. We'll have to see if it pans out or not.
Idea of was it Judy or somebody that had that other concrete deal? If you Google, or not Google, if you search the word concrete in like Wari, you'll see probably where she put her deal out. Whatever, maybe it's one of Victor's deals or somebody like that. And you should ask her, did you get that one sold? Or you should basically give her like a referral fee or a little something if you can build off their list. You know what I mean? Like if somebody picked up
Yeah,
her
yeah.
concrete deal, then I would assume that maybe those people who responded to her might have interest in yours as well, but they just didn't see it for some reason,
Possibly. Yeah, that's a good idea.
you know?
Yeah. I was thinking about sending out another note this week, but I was going to wait until after the holiday. I figure nobody's going to look at it today or tomorrow or this weekend.
Yeah. Is it a drive-by type of thing?
Yeah, you can basically see the whole thing walking around the house.
No, I
Yeah,
mean,
you
like,
can look through the windows and stuff. What?
is it in a location that people would see it when they're driving by?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's right on Highway 20. It's literally right there.
did you put a big sign out there?
No, I didn't. I don't want the neighbors to know.
That actually might also invite trouble in a vacant house out there. So that's
Yeah.
not that putting it on Zillow won't do that, but yeah, good for you. Okay, cool. I saw somebody just, well, good luck. Keep on trucking. Go ahead, Jenny. Can you hear me, Jenny? So Jenny asked you, oh, her mic's not working. Alex, did you see that? Does your 30-year rental product available for manufactured homes? Is it?
No, unfortunately, right now we can only do like just stick built. Yeah, stick built homes only. We are working on a manufactured mobile home, like just like a non-traditional home solution. But right now, yeah, it's only stick built.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody know? Ian might know. Ian, do you know of any local lenders that'll lend on I'm sure there's some, like WAFED or something like that. Credit union, Jenny, local credit union. Who will loan locally on a mobile home? Troy will know too. I have tried a few, found one. You should reach out to Troy Fisher. He might know locally who also might do that. Hey, do you guys know who this guy Nick Sebula is? Do you know who he is? Anybody? Nick Sebula. He's apparently killing it on the mobile home park stuff here in Washington and elsewhere. Do you know anybody know who he is? It looks like he's not in Waree. He was and he's not. Nick Sebula, C-E-B-N-E-C-U. Wait, Nick Sebula. Cebula, I think is his last name, something like that. But I was like, oh, maybe I should get him on the podcast. He seems to be kicking A in the local Washington State mobile home park biz and assignments. And then I noticed it said something like former member of WARE. And I thought, oh, is he somebody that people don't like, that he got kicked out? I don't want to like put him on if people are going to hate on him or something like that. I don't really give a shit what people think, but I don't want to set the guy up for a bunch of, well, I guess I do care a little bit, but I don't want to set the guy up also to get, bunch of whatever. So you guys don't know who he is. Okay. All right. So what else is going on? Anybody have anything going on they want to bring up before I keep just yapping here? Anything?
I wanted to ask, is anyone else, I think this month we're able to raise rents, right? I think this is like the first month that we're able to raise rents in a long time. Is
Well,
anyone else?
the problem with that, depending on where you are, and Dion can answer, is you have to give a certain amount of notice to raise those rents. Might even be 60 days. I don't know what the timeline is. So
I think it is 60 days, but before we couldn't even do it because of the moratorium.
Right. Yeah, no, I think, where is a really, really great place for you guys to pay attention to, aside from our friend William Shadbolt, who you could always personally reach out to, who keeps me up to date with stuff. But I am really, really enjoying the Facebook page that Offer Avni or whatever has, where Jaden Moon posts that stuff. Let me tell you the name of it. Really, really great at keeping on top of stuff. If I can find it here. It's something like something in Seattle, surrounding Seattle, something's kind of a long, weird Facebook name. How do you do this? Groups. I'll have to find it while you guys are talking about something else.
One thing that I did want to mention was that, and this isn't exclusive to certain lending. This is pretty much all asset-based long-term lenders, but rates are starting to drop a bit. So you should see some pretty significant downward pressure on that. Like I would say about 3 months ago, if you were like doing a 75% cash out, you'd probably be in like, the 5 to 5.5% range. That's dropping down into like the 4 3/4 to like 5 1/4 range. So it's not like earth shaking, but I mean, that's a pretty decent chunk that it's moving. So just as a heads up.
Yeah, wasn't Keith saying something, or maybe Albert's on here? Hey, Albert, Keith was saying something like it's the first time that 15-year money terms or something was reaching the point of where 30-year mortgages are. I thought Keith said something like that. Keith pitched last week. Do you know anything about that, Albert?
No, but I'm pulling up the rates right now. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll just look at it.
I'm trying to find this, I want to find this really great. Okay, so this Facebook page has really great news, and you probably, Albert, I think you know about it. It's offers, if that's how you say his name correctly, group. It's a group created by Real Wave Capital. Those guys like are big data nerds and stuff. And it's the Facebook page, which I think you guys should jump on, is called Real Estate in Seattle. And then in parentheses, it says, and the rest of the Puget Sound. And it has a picture of kind of like downtown Seattle with the Space Needle and the Real Wave logo on it. They do a fantastic job of keeping up with just daily news, real estate news postings, as well as covering all the new rental stuff. So here we go. The guy's name is Offer Abnery. He does yeah, you know him. That's a
He always
really,
has good posts, right?
really
That's good
great
posts.
page. I'm like, it's my favorite. You know, Wari to me, I love too, but it's more like entertainment or me to get idea, like what is everybody talking about? Or I did very much enjoy that debate they had, which we can talk about in a minute. But this page, these guys are legit and do a fantastic job of keeping up with big news in Seattle and Tacoma and all that stuff. So, you know, if you're not on there, it says breaking news regarding the rent moratorium raises in Washington. And that was from a day ago. Blah, blah, blah. You know, if you're trying to collect something from prior to now, good luck in summary, in regards to like if you tried to do past rent increases and they didn't get paid. Blah, 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 blah.
Any chance you're able to post
The rates
that
are
link
still
on
about
the chat?
Julie, they're still about 0.5% higher or lower. The 15 years about like 2.25, 2.125. Like no points. I mean, for the average person, but yeah, versus a 30 is probably like 2.7, 2.8.
I'm going to type the message. Thanks, Albert. I'm going to type the message of the group.
It's like a half.
Maybe Joe, if you can grab it. Real estate in Seattle and the rest of the Puget. I just want to make sure I see Joe posted it, but there's more than one group probably called this. So you literally have to look at group host is Real Wave. Okay, that's the group I'm talking about. Go in there on your free time while you're sipping your coffees and your vinos and have a look. Really great, up-to-date news. As well as, you know, I did a post in SIC this morning asking Justin Canberra and Todd McKellips, you know, Tacoma is offering up, as they used to do back in the day. I used to do a lot of stuff in Tacoma. I don't know how well you guys know Tacoma, but I converted the Cliff Street lofts on A Street in downtown Tacoma from apartments to condos and sold them all off back in the day before everybody else started doing it. So that was like 2005. Crushed it. But you know, the city of Tacoma is very friendly with affordable housing, and they offer multifamily tax exemption credit. So that means they offer like that you don't have to pay real estate taxes on your property for 10 years or more. And a bunch of those things were expiring here. And so they re-upped it. And so I was asking for all you affordable housing fans for the tiny homes, if somebody can lobby Pierce County or whatever county that you're in to get a property tax exemption if you're offering a tiny home community. Probably not, some of those I know are short-term rentals like an Airbnb hotel or a tiny home hotel. I know Todd is working on one of those, but I'm wondering if there's a case to be made by small property owners who are offering tiny homes on their property, to get a property tax exemption or partial, and somebody should bitch about it, because they shouldn't just give those to the big guys, right? They should offer that to the little guys as well after they've effed you guys around for the last year with everything. So I'm just bringing up the topic. We'll see if those guys respond at all. You guys getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Incentivizing even any type of property owner that's offering an affordable housing, which tiny homes are, to have some sort of real estate tax exemption. Anybody else ever thought about that? Just me? Actually, the idea came to me because I was reading in the Facebook group I just told you guys about, how Tacoma has extended its multifamily housing tax exemptions. And then I started thinking,
Were they expiring them or something? I
It was
mean, wasn't it 8 years?
yeah, it was, I think, 10 years or 12 years, and they were expiring. So
Yeah.
they re-upped them, and you can read the
Hmm.
article in this Facebook group that I just posted for you guys. So what else is happening? What else is happening? Who watched the debate or listened to the debate on Wari between Jennifer Beatles and Cody, her sidekick, and he's a big investor as well. And then Jan and Augie. And was there somebody else on there? Did anybody watch it?
Yeah, it was heated. Jennifer went off.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really an apples to apples discussion, right? I mean,
No.
great, got good event topic. I loved it. Did you guys? So it was a live debate on Jennifer Beatles, who's, Agents Invest and Addicted to RI, who has a huge platform for people who want to invest and get leads for deals out of state, as well as agents who want to plug in and try and sell their out of town deals to us West Coasters, I guess, but, or wherever. But they debated Augie and Jan, who are, of course, those guys are characters, and they kind of like go big or go home style. I wasn't quite sure it was the same apples to apples type of, you know what I mean, discussion. What did you think, Albert?
I mean, they kind of talked about their own viewpoints. They would talk about like appreciation synonymously with each other, even though one was talking about forced appreciation, the other one was talking about like market appreciation. They wouldn't really differentiate. And then Jen was saying, "Oh yeah, that you're and you can still do it in Tennessee because they love Clarksville.
Yeah.
So they're gonna push Clarksville and everything. I'm
You cut out on us for a minute when you were giving us your good details there. You're a what?
Oh no, I
What?
was just saying I'm kind of middle of the road. Even though all my stuff's in Washington, I'm still looking in all the other markets too.
Right. Well, we got Ian on here, and Ian invests a bunch out of state. We got Darren has been doing some deals. We got Jai who's doing some deals here in state. What do you guys think? Ian, what's your opinion about out of state versus in state? Well, of course, hit up
Yeah.
Dion, who's checked and all that.
I'd say like in-state, the cash flow is not as good, but there's a good appreciation. So, hopefully the value increases significantly. But, I prefer out of state because of cash flow. I prefer cash flow. But with cash flow, you can also get appreciation. Just like my property that I purchased for $1 million, my park, agents are now telling me that I could sell it for $3 million. So I'm getting good cash flow, but it also appreciates. So that's my preference. And also the laws is really a big thing. The Washington laws, especially Seattle, are much more challenging than if, probably my favorite place is Georgia, where the laws are heavily in favor of the landlord versus over here, where it's heavily in favor of the tenants.
Right.
So that's my take on it. I prefer to be out of state because it's just easier to run properties there.
Does anybody worry about the COVID stuff in other states or Southeast states or anything like that, and how that, could, some sort of pandemic-y thing could raise its head again and maybe wreak havoc on some of these states that are popular for out-of-state investing. That I say that because my neighbor across the street here from me, I'm surrounded by like 6 doctors here. It's pretty good if you get any trouble in a dentist. But I thought he was head of like respiratory big time. He's like 50 something R&D guy for UW, for UW medicine or something like that. But it turns out, as I was hanging out with him the other day, because they want to start doing some investing. They're probably more like syndication investors. So I was going to tell them about Spartan, and they have a multifamily syndicator they like that. So we're going to have dinner and swap, info and all that. But long story short, turns out my neighbor is head of like research and development. He's a respiratory, kidney, lung expert who's been a doctor his whole life, training for a pandemic situation. So he's a pandemic expert, and he is basically head of research and development or something at Johnson and Johnson. So big time guy. House across the street from me he bought for $2.8 million. This guy, his wife, the wife's financial planner, they're loaded. When I was walking the dog the other day, I told him we went to Lake Chelan for the weekend, and my kids were a little worried about taking their masks off. And he said, good, tell them to keep them on. I said, what do you mean, man? We're about to take them all off. We're looking forward to taking them all off. And he said, well, I said, you worried about something? And he said, and I don't care what side anybody falls on, and I'm not a doomsdayer. I'm just telling you what my pandemic doctor said across the street. He said there's a new virus that's resurging. You probably see it in the news in the South. It's called RSV. It's not like it hasn't been around, but there's no vaccine for it, and we've kind of lost our antibodies for it. And he's worried that it's going to have a COVID-like effect on the same type of individuals, maybe young people and old people. And it's going to surge here in the fall. So he basically was saying there could be another type of situation, and he thinks there's going to be like 2 Americas, 2 United States going forward because of this, like those regions that are vaccinated from things like this and those that are not. And I said, well, there's no vaccine for this RSV thing. And we've all had it by the time we were 2 years old, but since we've been wearing masks, it's like that catch-22. Nobody's been sick for a couple years. We lost our antibodies to this respiratory thing, and it's not COVID, and the COVID vaccine doesn't work for it. Check it out, Google it, RSV, and you'll see that the hospitals in the southern states are already getting nailed because the little kids are getting this where they normally wouldn't be getting it right now. So anyways, sidebar it's got me thinking, well, how does that relate back to our world? It's not like I'm worried about necessarily getting it myself, just maybe grandparents and stuff. And he said, going forward, this is the way that I said, can we get control of it? He said, no, it's kind of cat's out of the bag, and there's going to be a thinning of the herd. That's what he said. There's going to be a thinning of the herd. Which is kind of yikey, but it got me thinking like, how's that going to affect me? And then I started thinking about out-of-state investing, and that maybe there could be trouble in some of these states, right? Like that maybe, like I'd be curious to get Jennifer on and get her take, or some of her agents. That's a good podcast topic. If they were impacted, because I don't know what class property or if jobs in some of those states were affected, but like that could be a lingering thing, right? Especially if there's a rise of something else. As my neighbor doctor said, the pandemic-y stuff is building off each other, and it's happening every few years instead of every 30 years or every whatever, right? It's getting closer and closer together. I'm not a doomsdayer, and I really don't give a shit about where anybody thinks about this, what side of the fence you fall on. I'm just telling you what my neighbor said. And I got to thinking about out-of-state investing in those areas that are low vaccinated and things like that. Do you guys have an opinion on that?
Can I comment? Another good point is, how some states, like I just read that California is limiting flights to Florida, and I didn't really read the whole story, but I think that's also COVID related. But you know, if you have like an Airbnb, for example, in a place like Florida, you know, and you're not going to have as much traffic because other states are limiting flights to those higher infected areas too. You know, that could affect real estate, I suppose. But yeah, another point on that, Julia's, you know, under kids under 12 are still not vaccinated. So wearing your mask, I think is, I mean, like my kid is 11. She has to wear a mask everywhere. And I think a lot of people don't really, they think everything's opening, but you know, there's still the little ones have to wear the mask, and us parents have to be conscious of that too. So
right. And so this RSV, look it up, guys.
yeah,
RSV is making this surge in these southern states, and it affects the little kids, who then in turn go see their grandparents, right?
yeah.
And so there's where the problem lies again, and there's no vaccine for it. And of course, they're not going to blow it up in national news and freak everybody out, in my opinion. But again, are you going to be fine? You might be, but it might be something to think about when you're investing. I want to ask Jennifer and her agents in other markets, like, how were they impacted? Because they're investing in places, you know, like Alabama or Tennessee and places like that. I just think it's going to need to be part of the thought process on due diligence. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm just making this shit up to have a discussion, actually. But
Well, it's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah.
okay.
What was the debate? I missed the whole, maybe I missed that part.
Oh, so
what were they
the debate on
debating?
Wari, the debate on Wari was, is it better, who votes that out-of-state investing is better than in-state investing in Washington State? So Jennifer Beatles, do you know who Jennifer is?
I
Jai?
think has she been on?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I think I know who that is. Yeah.
she's the founder of Agents Invest and Addicted to ROI. She has she's an awesome person. She is basically has a platform where she has a huge just buyers list and a huge email list of, you know, investor buyers. And she is connecting brokers and investors from out of state to bring those deals through her. You know, I don't even think she vets them at this point. I think she's basically just taking a referral fee off making a connection. It's brilliant, really. And I have some really good ideas to do some more stuff with her. But, you know, her point was, hey, I understand the appeal of investing in Washington, even if you're breaking even or even feeding it a little bit because of the appreciation. But Jan and Augie weren't investing in 2008, right?
That was their main contention for her.
Yeah, that sounds good until, you know, that appreciation isn't, first of all, appreciation doesn't pay your bills, and the appreciation can go away if, you know, look at the pandemic or something, right? I mean, probably the right answer is you probably want to invest initially for cash flow and just focus on that until you have your monthly nut paid or your bills paid, right? If you're going to be conservative, it all depends on risk aversion. All depends on how you feel, or, what other assets that you have. I always say in real estate investing, there's this whole, everybody like, I do this, I do that. I'm like, who gives a shit what you do? Because real estate investing is individual. If Alex had a goal of owning 5 rental properties, and he has made progress towards that goal and he has accomplished that goal, he's kicking ass compared to somebody who wants to flip 40 homes a year. Who cares, right? Who cares? It's all individual. It's what you want to do, what your goals are. And it doesn't really matter what anybody else is doing, in my opinion. And it's really easy to get caught up in all that social media stuff and feel like you're not a real investor. You're a real investor if you've taken action towards your personal goal, whether that's 1, 2, 3 units or whatever you want to do. There is no right or wrong. So there's no right or wrong in in-state or out of state. But if you want to start probably, amassing your fortune, and you know, I always say, don't quit your day job and maybe use your credit and keep your job and then go start investing out of state, you know, like getting those deals. Jennifer's a great way to get the deals. Most people don't know how to get the deals, right? If you don't have the ability to go do that on your own, that plugging into her stuff is great, and get some cash flow going. Once you get some cash flow, which probably comes with a little appreciation, you know, and you're living the life that you want to live, then, you know, unless some great opportunity drops in your lap. How many people here, I mean, you guys are all go-getters, right? But the average person, and we're talking here the masses, or we can micro it down, isn't going to go do what Augie and Jan are doing necessarily. You know what I mean? They're not going to, I mean, I'm sure they'd love to, but, you know, trying to say you should invest in Washington State, but you have to get creative in order to make it work, or you have to feed it negative or break even and hope for, you know, bank on appreciation. You probably will get lucky, and you probably have, right? And there's a difference between newbies and what I call luckies, right? You're lucky if you've done a couple deals and you've hit a home run because you've been in a market that's carried you a bit, right? Wait until something happens. Who knows? Maybe it won't happen, but it probably will at some point. And then if you're well diversified, you're going to be fine, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think about all that? Dion, you're
I want to
an
hear what Dion thinks.
yeah, you're the in-state guy that's crushing it, and you're investing for what?
The main thing that matters is that the person figures out their end goals so they know what action goals to set. Most people try to set growth goals. I want this many units. I want whatever the growth goal is. I want this much cash flow. Well, you have no control over that. What we can control is, if I know what my end goals are, what are the steps to get there? I want to make 10 offers instead of I want to have this many properties. So you need to find deals that are worth making offers on. In-state and out-of-state, it really comes down to the person. For me, as to whether they want to self-manage or have a property manager. If I was going to have a property manager, I'd probably be investing out of state because the cash flow is better in other markets.
Why are you opposed to a property manager if you can achieve your cash flow goals faster out of state?
10 years of investing, 2 tenant turnovers. My tenants request rent increases and they request longer leases. I have a good set of people skills. So I haven't found a property manager yet that I would trust to give my business over to. And my original goal wasn't to invest and get the cash flow as big as possible or get the number of units as big as possible. My goal was financial freedom. Took 8 years, got there. And like you said, the person who wants to get 4, 5, 6 properties and does that, they're killing it. There are people here that have 10 times the size of my portfolio and they're killing it. But that wasn't my goal. I just wanted financial freedom, so work was optional.
What's your goal now that you've reached your goal?
To show as many people as possible that they can do it too, that we might not all have that skill set to go out and get 80 or 150 units, but pretty much everybody can buy a property every other year. And in 10 years, you have 5 cash flowing properties and make work optional for the rest of your life. That's my goal, just to share that.
That's my only beef with that debate, is I didn't feel like it was relatable 100% to everybody. It does show you what's possible, because there are people out there that want to, like, you know, grind that hard and be that creative. That's super fun for some people, right? But the average person, right? How do they, I think that was a little, you know, like, you got to kind of, you know, it just depends on your personality. Again, it was an awesome, great debate. I loved it. And I think they should do, that's fun to do that type of stuff. Right. And so, interesting. So Dion, I'll challenge you though. So how you don't want to relinquish, how do you scale? You don't care about scaling is the point, right? At some point, you're saying that it's not too much for me to manage, even as I grow larger and larger, because I have such great relationships with my tenant. I don't really have the turnover. And so it's really not burdensome, right? Is that your point?
Turnover's low, but it's also the systems, like I have at minimum 2 handymen. So one's available when the other isn't. And then I use the Thumbtack app to find contractors and get quotes and read reviews until I have a few contractors that I know. So in 2020, I had 14 units. I just closed on a duplex. I track every minute, every second that I'm on real estate, not looking at deals. That doesn't count. That's a hobby. I mean, like actually managing properties. And in 2020, it was about 27 hours.
Great.
A property manager would have cost me somewhere between $16,000 and $20,000. So on average, I think I was making about $700 an hour to manage my properties. And at some point, I won't want to do that. But managing a property manager isn't much different than managing tenants when you only have 16 units. So those people that have 40 or 80, yeah, if I was there, I would definitely have a property manager. Yeah. But at my level, it's easier for me to do it. And right now I spend a month a year in Thailand or Colombia. I'm going to increase that to 3 months. When that happens, I might start considering a property manager.
Maybe you should start on your YouTube channel, property management. Maybe you should start a tenant landlord, how to relate. That's a good topic for you. Will you do that one? Oh no, my idea. So you got to do it on my show.
Sure. And then if I do one of those on mine, then you have to guest cameo. Come over.
Yeah. Sure. I don't think I'm there because I cuss too much and stuff like that. But
well, that's okay. I've got nice little cartoon sensors that I can throw
up. What about
you mention sorry for jumping in. Dion, did you mention the Thumbtack app? Is that a tool you use for finding contractors? Is that, or handyman?
Yeah, you've probably heard of like Mary's List or whatever that one is called.
Yeah.
But it's like that, but it's just contractors that are on Thumbtack. And I literally go in there and just put a post up. I need to replace a water heater. I have 5 estimates within 10 minutes. Contact them. I haven't been to the property, so I just send 1 or 2 emails. Then I read all the reviews of all the other investors that have used those contractors. Maybe check out their Google reviews too. I've done fences. I found a roofer that way.
Nice.
Or repair. It's super quick, responsive. And the contractors know that at the end of the project, you're going to leave a review. So, I mean, they are super professional, super timely. I've had good luck at least.
The cost?
That's great.
Free for the consumer.
But I mean, the contractor pricing, some, like I always found that like maybe those places, Angie's List, those guys are all the expensive guys, or maybe that's a myth. I don't know.
So I had quotes on a roof from $7,900 to $32,000. Like, so it was under 10 to over 30. And then I've had a tree estimate that was $850 to $2,800. So you get multiple quotes, just like same thing I do when I'm doing lending. Talk to several contractors. The whole spectrum is there.
That's awesome. Thanks. I'm actually looking for to put contractors in place right now because I'm still a newbie and entering this and assembling the team. You know what I mean? And I want some redundancy there. I want at least 2 to 3. So that's fantastic. Thanks.
When I'm using that app to find contractors, one of the things I like to do is make sure those contractors know I'm getting several quotes. Tell them who the competition is. Sometimes tell them what prices I'm getting. And listen to the contractors. If they just attack the competition, I avoid them. If they talk about why their skill set has the value that it does, their insurance, their team, their history, then I'll listen and maybe even take a little bit higher price with somebody. But just watch for the contractors that seem to attack the most are the ones that have the most problems.
And as Alex brought up, go ahead, bring your point up, Alex.
Oh no, I'm basically agreeing with Dion here. Like, I mean, anytime a contractor bids super low on a job, I'm always really suspicious of that because like lowest bid a lot of times means like, okay, maybe you don't have a license, maybe you can be change ordering the hell out of me. I'm also suspicious of anyone that needs to tear down the competition in order to try to make themselves look good, because then it just makes me think, okay, so that just means you're terrible and you're trying to bring everyone down to your level. And I mean, I've gone with the lowest bid, I think 3 times, and I've regretted it every single time just because like it's always like change orders. It's always like a terrible job that I had to send someone else in to redo. So at this point, I'll look at the lowest bid, but I'm always like really, really suspicious of it.
I've had contractors say to me, I keep my price low because I know they're going to add stuff on, right? Because I know when I go bid the job that they're not really they're not asking me on the scope of work to do everything that I probably am going to end up needing to do. but then they just raise their price once that comes up later, right? Like, well, that's
Also, Keith, I had a job here in Seattle that we're working on a project here, and the main water line had a big crack underneath my neighbor's yard, and it was just, we had to fix it. And I called, like Beacon Plumbing and all these guys that have NFL, people doing commercials for them. And it was all like 20,000, 25,000, because it's an old house and it's 150-foot run underground, right? But then I realized, okay, let me look outside of King County.
You
And I
say
called a company out in,
underground,
what's that?
underground.
I think it was like 170 to the city's line, because back then they didn't really, I guess, like put the meters right in front of your house. So I got all these quotes, and they were all in the 20 some range. And then I called a company out of Everett, and their whole slogan was like, "We do water line repairs," right? So I called them and I told them, "Hey, I got all these quotes. Can you beat it?" And they said, "We'll do it Wednesday." It was like a Monday. They're like, "We'll do it Wednesday for 7,800 or something like that," right? And they all, Beacon Plumbing, all these guys use like one or two companies that do these drillings because the machinery is so expensive. So they were going to use the same company. They were going to do everything. And all these big companies are like, 2-3 weeks out. And this company's like, "Hey, we'll do it for 7,800. Just put a sign in your yard." I was like, you can put a sign on my house. I do not care. I just do the thing. So sometimes it pays to kind of look outside of your
And they
county
did a good
too.
job.
They did an amazing job and it was done in like 3 hours,
Yeah.
so.
Great. Yeah,
Well,
that
that's
pays
how
to
we
do,
build
pays to
construction.
get multiple quotes for air conditioning too, by the way. There's a lot of markup in air conditioning. So, yeah, that's a good point, Alex. A lot of companies will do that. I'm in the audio visual integration business, and so we work with Amazon and Google, and a lot of companies, multi-million-dollar projects, doing conference room technologies, and so we have big competition out there too. And sometimes they do come in low, but they usually change order the shit out of the job, at the end. So, so that definitely resonates with me. I know all about that, and yeah, so it's often good to, I think, kind of take the company that they might charge a little bit more, but they're not going to like change order you, to death, by coming in low to try to win the job, So.
Awesome stuff. What else is happening? Anybody else? Prasad, what's up? Can you hear us?
Yes.
How are you?
Hi, Julie. I'm
Hi.
doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us today. What's going on with you?
Yeah, so I just basically been speaking to all my property managers to give rent increase notices. Been waiting for a long time. Yeah, so I'm excited and having my fingers crossed to see that the rents actually raise on September 1st.
And are your properties has everybody been paying up to date and you're just giving them their increases?
No, I have a couple of properties where, a lot of tenants are behind and they have applied for assistance. There are a couple of tenants who have, like, one is not even applied and the other one is was denied. And they still have, 6,000-7,000 in delinquencies each. Do you happen to know if there are any agencies for such cases where tenant doesn't apply or is denied for assistance?
I don't know. Do you guys know anything about that? That's a great question. I think William Shadbolt would be somebody that I would ask for that. I was going to look on here real quick. Let me check a thing if I can find anything on that real quick. Hold
Had
on.
a company or an agency in Thurston County that paid a couple months for a tenant. When another tenant called them, they said they ran out of funds. And I mean, it was like 3 days later. So I don't know if they're going to get refunded or not, but I'll put my email in the chat. If you email me, I'll send you because I don't have it on me. I'll send you the contact info for that agency because they might be statewide.
Oh, okay. Okay, that'll be great. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, this property is in Pierce County. So, okay, that's great. So that is, I think other than that, I'm mostly right now looking for a primary home as well. Just did a couple of bids on a few properties, and it's just insane right now. Like homes are that listed at at a reasonable price compared to the sold comps are getting bid up 20%. So 15 to 20%. So after a few offers, I've just come to realization maybe this is not a good time. It's yeah.
Where are you looking?
So I was looking around in Bothell, South Everett, Woodinville area.
What's your budget?
So like a 4-bed, 2.5 bath, at least 2,500 square feet home, like $1 million.
Okay.
2010 and later. Just not been yeah.
I got a builder that wants to sell new construction that's going to be done here pretty soon. That includes a ADU unit in Northeast Seattle, but it's more like 1.6-ish probably.
I see. Yeah. So kind of wife wants to stay in these areas either. So yeah, because I have a 5-year-old son, so want to have that, other kids to play around and all that. So
I have an idea for you guys who, if none of you, I don't think there's any real estate brokers on here, but I was going to say, if you have any friends, or Albert, maybe for some of your clients, an idea is to look up the properties that are owned by Invitation Homes or Home Partners of America. And I don't know what entity that is, but Blackstone purchased Home Partners of America, which is scary, but and they are not partners with Invitation Homes anymore. But what I'm telling some of the agents, if in case you guys are buyers yourselves or have friends and family, A, they can call me, but B, you can get in contact with Invitation Homes and have your title company or have your real estate agent get the list of all the homes owned by Invitation Homes or Home Partners of America, and they are selling those. And you can contact them and say, hey, I'd like to buy this home, like get the list of homes they own, right? And they might very well sell you that home off market or work with an agent like myself who knows those little tricks.
Oh, that's great. That's great, Julie. Yeah, I'll reach out to you then. That might be a good idea.
Yeah.
That's
one thing. But
are those model homes or what are they?
No, they're they bought them as burrs basically.
Oh, okay.
So but they've owned them for years and years. I mean, if his budget's $1 million, they might have a big property out in Bothell that it costs $1 million to buy these days. You know what I'm saying? You guys follow? So just a little tip for your friends and family. I don't think it works for if you're trying to pick up a rental property, obviously, but if you have anybody that's looking for a primary home or something like that.
Do you think you expect inventory to rise and prices to have a correction in the next 6 to 9 months?
No.
Do you see more sellers coming out of that woodwork, because now that COVID is tapering off?
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is that the prices will level out because all the sales that are going to record, you won't see as these huge, some article came out, oh, the homes are selling $300,000 over price. I think that's going to subside because the comps have caught up with whatever, and it will cap. I mean, we do have an affordability. I mean, I don't know that we'll see these huge sales over the list price maybe as much the fourth quarter or whatever next year, but we will. I don't think home prices are going down, especially because Amazon and Google and these places are saying you're going to come to work 3 days a week. So now everybody that moved out of state might have to come back. you know?
Mhm. Right, right. Yeah. So one thing though is like that's kind of bothering me is like, 2018, 2019, we saw the sudden so much inventory and there's so much supply available, right, in our market.
Because rates went up.
And
That's because
rates went up, right? Yeah. And you could, lot of time you could get, pricing like 5% below the asking as well, right? Up to 5-10%, right? In that time. Right now, if you compare to that price have gone up nearly 40 to 50% just in the last, the 3 years, 2 years, right? Many
yeah.
of these areas like Bothell, Woodinville, Redmond, the East Side, right? So
That's
I don't
because
know
people
how.
are being pushed out there because they can't live closer in. So it's just naturally pushing out those suburbs. But we should talk separately. Reach out to me. Just reach out.
Got it. Yeah, yeah. That'll be great. That'll be great. Yeah. So other than that, I'm in contract for a 6-unit property in Spokane.
Oh, nice. How'd
Yeah.
you get that one? Because I have a agent on my team. We just had a Zoom last night because I coach agents. And I told him to ignore every shiny object, stop doing whatever he's doing, and start focusing on Spokane.
I see. I see.
So
I see.
how did you find that deal in Spokane?
Oh, this was a market deal.
Okay, you got it off the MLS?
Yeah, it's off the MLS. It just got thanks. Yeah, it just got some hair on it in the sense it's a low income property.
Okay.
So basically, you cannot raise rents above a certain threshold. That's only for about 6 to 7 years.
Because of the type of financing?
Yes, because of the financing the previous in the current owner has in place.
Are you assuming the loan?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have to assume the loan.
Okay, so it's an income restricted, low income housing
Right.
type situation.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know those were assumable. So that's an assumable loan?
Yeah, it's assumable, but they have to kind of sign off on it. So there's some restrictions on that. So you have to give some information about yourself and all that, and they have to
I
sign
want
off.
to give you a tip on that as you're doing your due diligence, or unless you just bought it, but you need to check in on the restrictions of cash distributions.
Of the cash distributions to investors or?
To the yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just buying it from my own cash.
You're paying that loan off. You're gonna inherit this loan though, right? You're gonna buy it.
Yes.
Subject to,
Correct.
and I'm saying that you need to check on the rules for low income tax credit loans on when you can make distributions to yourself. And
really?
Just double check, make sure you check that.
I see. Yeah. I'm still in the DD phase, so yeah. Okay, we'll do that.
So it might all sound good, and then you find out, well, I can only. I'm not saying it there is. I'm saying that you do need to check that though.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. So I think my plan is like it's basically the restrictions are there under 6-7 years. So once the restrictions are lifted, I can pay off the loan, and then I can make it a market property.
Right.
So just.
I used to be involved in those in Tacoma, down in Pierce County, and I found that the market rates for the units on those low income tax credit properties where we had income restrictions actually matched pretty closely to what the market rents would be. Like from, like how does that compare to the Section 8 type rents, right? Like, because the building just might be located in a spot where that's the type of tenant, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
You would assume that because you can get out of pay off the loan and increase to market rents, the market rents might be what they are, already.
Right. Yeah.
Think that sometimes. So
right. Yeah, but in this case, it's like because these are larger units, these are like there's a 50% difference between what's allowed and what's fair market. So I'll probably not get any cash flow for the next 6-7 years, but then after that, I have the equity upside once I pay it off and refinance and pay it off.
Interesting. So you're not going to get any cash flow for 6 or 7 years, but you're looking long term, and there's some huge play there because is it a guaranteed rent from like Section 8?
No. It's just from the tenants. If some of the tenants are Section 8, then yes, but right now it's not the case. So no.
So why would you be interested in buying a property that you're not going to get cash flow off for 6 or 7 years? I'm saying it because I want everybody else to hear it because it's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm still talking to the lender to see what the terms is going to be. But if I can come in with like, there's an assumable loan, right? Which is mostly kind of, we don't pay any interest on that. So your effective purchase price is lesser than that, right? And then maybe I can just go in with a 10% down, I'm thinking. I still have to.
Motivated because you're able to assume this loan. You have an opportunity there for a favorable opportunity due to the lending stuff.
Right. So one is I can probably get in with a 10 to 15% down. And second thing is on the upside, right? Right now, I think market-wise, today's market, I think I can get like another 40% or 50% more, 40% to 50% more in equity in the value itself of the property if it was a market rent property, right? So yeah, I won't realize it for 7 years, but anyway, I'm planning to hold the properties for long term. So yeah.
Is it more of a tax play, Prasad? I'm just trying to get some bonus depreciation.
Yeah, that would help. Bonus depreciation would help. But I guess pretty much, Albert, it's like, I can get in with 10% down and then I get a little bit of cash flow. Like anyway, properties that we buy here in Western Washington, there's no cash flow, right? So, but there's a huge equity, like as is equity, there's like 30, 40% equity, 40%, at least 40, 50%, I would say, right? And that is as is equity. And as the growth happens, it's on the value of it, right? So yeah, that's the play.
Boy, is it going to be interesting when we're having these weekly chats when the market changes and the equity growth changes. We're going to probably have, that'll be interesting. Like I do find that. And you own other properties that are cash flowing well, or have you always invested more for equity appreciation?
Yeah, I do have other properties that are stabilized and they're cash flowing. But they're like cash flowing like, 25% from the mortgage, right? The 1.25 debt service coverage kind of a thing. Yeah. So I don't need cash flow a lot. So mostly it is, I think I'm getting a lot of background.
You have your day job?
Yeah, I do have a day job. Yeah, I am getting cash flow from other properties, but it's thin. It's thin right now with the moratorium in place. There's not really any cash flow and low rents compared to market. I didn't really have much cash flow, but now with the rent raises and if we can actually enforce the rents, then I will have some cash flow from my properties. That I can hopefully use it for it should make me financially independent, but that's a big question. What happens in September, October?
Yeah, good stuff. I still find it interesting about the whole, and then why don't people invest in syndications and you can get like, probably a 8% return, sometimes even more if you got a good syndicator. And then if that syndicator is investing something that has a development piece to it, right? Not just throwing your money in and getting maybe whatever your return is, but there's a development upside to it on a big commercial project, right? And that is a real winner there. And you do have to, it's mailbox money, right? You go do what you do. And, I find those deals for me where I'm in life. I love those deals. I love investing with Ryan Gibson in those self-storage deals, man. Get cash flow. And then, I think one of my deals with Ryan, they just sent me 40 grand back of my 100 that I put in because we sold a piece of it off, a car wash piece of our storage deal. And they are just in a lease up stage of building, I don't know if it was 20 or 40,000 square foot of additional storage, huge value add to the project, right? I don't have to do a damn thing except hang out and talk with you guys and, play with my dog and go camping. right? You know, I'm just giving you an example of why I love syndications versus slogging it out like this, you know, having to get super creative with all these things. That's just me. Another, you know, but then again, I also own apartments and I've been around a long time and I've done all that stuff too. It's just a stage of life thing, I guess, right? Or choice for me at this point. I would definitely be looking forward to buy deals where I could get seller financing like Prasad is doing, but I don't think I'd do it if I wasn't getting any cash flow and it was just an appreciation play, right? Because I love the whole diversification. I probably made more money in the stock market in the last 12 months, honestly, than I have in real estate. But again, that's a whole nother side bar. But anyways, you guys are awesome. It's 12:31 and we'll catch you next week. You guys, who's doing anything fun for the 4th of July?
No. I just had one question about how often are those debates and is there a link or?
You can go into Wari's Facebook page, scroll down there somewhere and you'll find it. It's recorded. And you can do it. Yeah. And that's the first one I've seen, I think. So I'm sure they'll do more. I liked it. I thought it was great. I should do the same thing on other topics, but you know.
It'd be good to see somebody with a hybrid opinion, you know, who has both and like equally amount, an equal amount. I mean, I know Cody has both, but
yeah,
an equal.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, no, it's got me thinking about what would be great debate topics and things like that too. So, all right, I appreciate you guys for showing up. And hey, Albert, who did I pass you to the other day? Did you hear from somebody yet? Kim Ross? Maybe not.
No.
Okay.
Talk to Kim Davis. She's a nice gal.
Kim Davy, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Davy.
I got just a retail person that wants to refinance, Kim Ross, but I gave her your contact info. She might not quite be ready yet, but anyways, I will.
Yeah, let me know.
I will connect you directly to her. Sometimes I like to let them contact you on their own for a minute. And then if you don't hear from them, then I'll be like, hey, here's Albert, you know, then you can do your thing.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
I'll be doing that
Hey,
here.
thanks, Julie.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Julie.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it.
Great meetup. Yeah.
Have a good